We are now into part two of our interview with Mr. James May.
Yes.
We ran out of time yesterday, and we should be able to get most of the rest of this done. There's big chunks of it left, but the first section we're going to get back into explore is the healing journey part of after entering the military, learning, growing during the military, and then suffering the multiple ID. And the first question in the healing journey section that I'd like to hit you with is healing from trauma, and especially the combat trauma that we are both aware of, is it's not a linear process. It's a big trial and error, lots of tribulations involved. What did your worst days look like, and how did you get through them?
So, great question. Those are a little bit difficult for me to answer due to the brain injury and remembering things. But what I do remember is from what people tell me and a couple high points, the low points, I should say, that made a lasting impression. You know, some of the worst days could be the pain, not being able to deal with the pain or getting hooked on the drugs that they were giving you for the pain or the way that you treated the people around you, like my spouse who stuck by my side, during all of that. Not being able to walk, you wake up and your legs are all busted, or you get up, you're dizzy, kind of like having a seizure on the hotel room floor. Um, I think it's a culmination of all of those things, right? The worst day is not just one day; it's sections of life, right? Feeling like you're not enough, not as good, being frustrated with not being able to do things, um, for years of going through all of that, for sure. Those were a rough couple years, not days, not moments.
How many years were you're mentioning years, how many years of process and recovery and therapy did you have at that combat trauma repair period?
I mean, I'm still currently going through it. It's a never-ending cycle. Somebody once told me there's no ceiling to healing, and that stuck with me. And I try and share my story now, and I try and help other veterans. I co-founded a reboot recovery organization here in Clear Lake, and personally went through that, sharing experiences, and being able to do that was part of that healing journey as well. Being able to repetitively talk about things, and whether it be wartime efforts or uh, what those experiences growing up and war together led to me doing as a young adult, even getting out, right? Um, but I would say it wasn't until, like early 30s when I really saw a change in my heart and wanted to actually actively accept all those therapies, right? I was just uh, coping with the pills and stuff that they give you, coping with alcohol, making excuses. Uh, and then one day I woke up and I just wanted to be a better man, better father, better husband, and really reestablished my faith. And everything's been going in the right direction since. But before that, it was a constant struggle with addiction to the pills, addiction to alcohol, the coping mechanism of alcohol, not dealing with your problems the way you should be, sharing, right? The vulnerability. As men in the military, we're all alpha males, right? And this societal imprint of what an alpha male is the complete opposite, I found. It's the complete opposite of what an actual alpha male is. An actual alpha male is not afraid of being vulnerable. He's not the guy that can beat everybody up in the bar. He's the guy that can walk away from the fight in the bar, honestly, knowing that he could have knocked that guy out, right? It's the guy that wants to show up to his kids' sports games and slap his wife on the ass, let her know she's cute, and take her out to dinner, and all those things is what makes an alpha male a male. And I feel like I'm finally figuring that out after uh 15 years since I've been blown up. It probably took a solid 10 years for me to even begin to realize what I was doing wrong the first 10 years. Um, so uh, all the things that had happened in those 10 years have made these last 5 years pretty, a lot more enjoyable and a lot easier to actually heal, versus covering it up over and over and over, making excuses over and over, you know? Yeah.
It sounds like you needed a pretty serious positive anchor too.
Yeah. That was my wife.
That's the question is who or what is your positive anchor for during your darkest moments?
Yeah. I mean, 100% Cheyenne. Cheyenne was the first person I remember waking up to at Walter Reed. She never left my side. She supported me through the shittiest moments of me being a human, and has never walked away. Um, she gave me my daughter, and then, now we have two boys we adopted. So Cheyenne paired with my family, paired with my kids. That's the reason. That's the why. Why do you keep waking up, and why do you want to be better today than more better today than yesterday? It's them. Um, why do you want to be a good person? It's because of them. Why do you want to be a good friend? It's because of them. You want to make the world better for them, and they give you that strength to do it. Give me that strength.
When did you first start to believe that you could build something meaningful from this traumatic experience that you suffered?
Yeah, I mean, it's you kind of white knuckle it, in the beginning. You're just you act like it didn't happen. You just kind of put it down. But until you actually start dealing with it, you don't truly feel a sense of relief from it. So, covering everything up with um, the meds and alcohol, that really wasn't allowing for the healing. So once I realized, hey, in my heart, I want to change, and not just in my brain, get away from that white knuckling, that trying to force something that your heart really isn't looking for yet. But once I opened up my heart, to the change, and reflecting, hey, maybe I am the problem and it's not everybody else. Um, that's really the pivotal moment there, and it's a real aha moment for sure. And you still fuck up. I mean, we're all human. Nobody's perfect, right? But it's been a lot better since, for sure.
I know exactly what you mean. Number one, we've known each other for a while, and I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What role did your military brothers play in your healing process, and how do you maintain those bonds now?
Yeah, I wish that I could say that I did better keeping in touch. In the beginning, we talked and they checked up on me, and even in the hospital, hey, how you doing? I had a couple reach out to me when I got out of the hospital. But here recently this year, I actually reached out to my TC, my truck commander, my sergeant. He was my buddy, my friend. He was sitting shotgun, one of the bombs hit right by his face. But we connected on the phone, man, and just shot the shit. And it felt really good. Like there was another part that was lifted off of me. And then I also connected with my platoon sergeant this year. After 15 years, I didn't talk to either one of those guys in 15 years, and talked to them both within a month of each other. My platoon sergeant ended up, I think, making E9. He said he started working with operations group, and man, he just went all the way. He did everything I always wanted to be, and for him to, I said thank you, and that was huge. It took me 15 years to thank the guy who saved me, pulled me out of the truck. Uh, took me 15 years to talk to the guy who made sure I wasn't dead in the truck, right? I mean, pretty powerful. And I felt like a weight was lifted. Simple words, thank you. And yeah,
Follow-up question on that. While you were injured and in recovery, did you meet fellow soldiers who are suffering the same stuff and move forward in life with those folks?
yeah, I have quite well, man, most of my circle is from blown up people, man. I know more than I guess the average person. Uh, Purple Heart veterans, guys who've lost limbs, guys who've lost all their limbs, guys who have lost skin, all burned. You name it, I've met them and know them, have created friendships with them. Uh, One guy in Walter Reed really made a lasting impression on me when I was feeling sorry for myself, going around to these traumatic brain injury appointments and stuff. Shine was taking me around, and in walks this guy. He's got his PC cap on and uh, like these sunglasses. And so he just came through the door. He just, for some reason, he grabbed my attention. Takes his PC cap off. He lost half of his skull. And here I am feeling sorry for myself. And this fucking guy is walking around, going to his appointments by himself. He was blind in one eye, and half of his skull was gone. It was an indentation. I didn't talk to him, but that guy has had a lasting impression on me ever since. And if he can do it, why not me? Right? If the guys that I know that don't have any limbs and they can do it, why not me? Um, and so on and so on. It's a, it's a plethora of individuals I've been blessed enough to meet and cross paths with these last 15 years. I think we feed off each other, and when one of us is down, the other one helps out. Um, Whether it's on a fishing trip or a hunting trip or camping trip, whatever it is, when we all get together, we help each other out because we all understand, and it's a pretty special moment. Better than any therapy ever.
You've mentioned some similar themes that I'm going to dive into now. Can we explore the finding love and the building family piece that seems to keep coming up?
Yeah, yeah.
After everything you've been through, what made you ready to open your heart into the process of building your family?
I think it's something I've always dreamed about. Um, from a kid, I've always, uh, I remember laying in bed asking, somebody, something, just asking out. I was born Catholic, but I wasn't raised a devout Catholic. I went to CCD classes for a couple years, but my parents were pretty shitty. So I was never really in it. But I remember laying in bed just asking, there's got to be something better out there, right? Dreaming about that white picket fence lifestyle full of love and compassion and fatherly and motherly, uh, that teen that you see on the movies and TV shows like Leave It to Beaver and stuff, kids playing in the streets. And so when I got to a point after getting, I mean, I was always looking for it. Married my wife super fast, right? Rushing into it, I guess, in the hopes of always just longing for that love from somebody else. And I was just lucky enough to cross paths with my wife. God put her in my life, and we're still together. We've beat the odds, and several times over. When we decided we wanted to grow our family and, have a daughter, and then even after her, we decided we want to grow our family again and adopted kids. And now I live that life I dreamed about as a little kid. I eventually got there, man. The path wasn't smooth. It wasn't straight. It was not at all on my timeline or anything, but I believe it was meant to happen. And I never gave up and then neither did God. He kept putting those roadblocks in my life, and I made fucking a left turn when I should have went right several times, but he always put another one ready for when I turn right. And I turned right, and I don't regret any of it. It's been amazing.
You've mentioned that your wife was in the army with you and participated in your healing and recovery. How do you, other than her as a professional who participated in the care, how do you explain to someone that you love what you've been through without letting it define your relationship with the other people in your life?
Yeah, it's super difficult, right? Even your spouse doesn't understand, right? Because she didn't serve, and she was only up in the army with me for, you know, maybe 5 months before I deployed. So she got to see a small window of it. It wasn't the ideal situation to meet somebody in, I guess, but uh, you have to be open and you have to be vulnerable. You can't dance around it. You have to share what's on your heart. And I practice that every day. I'm not perfect at it, right? But um, being able to have that vulnerability and share what you're thinking and what you're going through allows for the wall to come down and allows your heart to open up and receive what they're willing to give you, which is that love. But if you don't let the wall down, doesn't matter who it is. Say it's a mother, or an aunt, or a grandmother. But if you're not honest with them, what you're going through, it's never going to be 100% real. So that'd be my advice, to be real with yourself first and have that vulnerability and willingness to share.
That kind of ties in nicely with where I'd like to go next with the next question is, what does home mean to someone who's seen what you've seen and done what you've done?
Yeah, home is there's a funny sign that says home is where the boots are. And when you PCS a lot, or in my case, I didn't PCS at all. I was stationed in Fort Drum, and that's where I stayed. But I trained a lot. We traveled a lot, and I grew up moving around a lot. So I didn't really have a home. So even when I ended up being retired, um, Shine and I talked about it. Where are we going to go next? When I was re-upping, I re-enlisted for 5 years downrange, with the hopes to be a pilot, like I mentioned before. And we thought about, hey, you want to go back to, you want to go to, Bragg or Georgia or Carson, we were like, oh man, the options are endless, right? And for somebody,
Alabama first.
yeah, yeah. And it's it's just something I've always moved around, and it's never really mattered where I've been. It matters who you're there with. Um, and I think Cheyenne started realizing that too. She was born and raised in the exact same area pretty much her whole life. I think in two houses she lived in, right? I went to so many fucking elementary schools, I don't even know. I went to three high schools and two or three middle schools. I was all over the place. There was never a house that we called our own. Sometimes I didn't even have a bedroom. I slept on the couch or in the kitchen. The what people would call a coat closet was my was my wardrobe. In the living room. Uh, so yeah, I think it matters who you're there with. It doesn't matter where you're at.
Exactly what you mean. As a father and partner, how do you balance protecting your family from your experiences while still being authentic with who you are?
Yeah, that was a struggle in the early years, but that was because I didn't give that vulnerability and grace to myself. I'm still really hard on myself. I say nobody's perfect, but I expect perfection out of myself. Uh, and I'm still learning how to give that grace that's required. And then once I can give myself grace, then I'm better as a father and a husband, because now I can extend that grace onto the people that surround me that I love. Um, but that uptightness, that of keeping your walls up, and shitty coping mechanisms, and lack of vulnerability makes it very difficult to be a husband and father. Um, because if you're not being honest with yourself, how are you going to be honest with your kids and your wife? It's almost impossible, right? You're going to be putting on a mask. You're going to be stuffing stuff down inside of you and then putting on a mask and faking it and white knuckling it. and they're going to see it, man. Maybe not when they're younger, but your kids will see it when they get older, and that's what they're going to remember. And that's what I don't want. I don't want to be my father. I don't want to. I want to break the chain of dysfunction. Right. I don't want the past experiences I've had to define me and who I want to raise my children as, and give them the life that I've dreamed about, so they don't even have to dream. It's just automatic, right? And instill those values that I never had. So the learning curve that I've had to have at almost 40 years old, I want them to not have. I want them to have that silver spoon, but still have the values in life that'll take them far. The respect, the work ethic, right? Just to name a couple. Um, how to treat, I want my daughter to pick a man that knows, because she sees what a man should act like, you know? I want to be that emblem for her. And I want my sons to treat their woman how a woman should be treated, because they see how a woman should be treated from me. So, um, and all that starts with lowering your own wall and looking at your own heart and being honest with yourself, and not letting your past define you and who you are as a person. In my case, as a man in today's world, society's going down the drain. Don't let that affect you, right? Your past experiences don't define you. They simply are part of you, if that makes sense.
Does. There's a lot of self-improvement and growth pieces in there that kind of connects into the next piece about the business chapter of your life, which we discussed a while back. Would you mind telling me about the decision to start your own business after the structure of a military life? What was it like to create something from scratch?
It was difficult. Um, but after the military, I struggled with finding a direction to go in. And I started just grabbing onto stuff that fell, oh, my uncle's a geologist. So I went to school and got, the first half of geology degree. And then I went to U of H, and I was in U of H on my junior year. Um, and then somebody offered me a process technology path. And I was like, oh, now I don't have to go to school for 8 years. So I pivoted and dropped out of UH and went to another college and earned two more degrees. These are all associates, by the way. Earned two more associate's degrees, process technology and manufacturing engineering. And that fell in my lap. So then I did that for a few years, right? And shift work, and got really good at it. I'm really good at working problems, but I was still bad at that garrison life, we call it, right? I was still bad at home because I wasn't ready to change. So then after that, I got on with a company, a contracting company, third party, but COVID hit. And now I don't work for the plant directly. So now I'm non-essential. So I got laid off. I was in the second round of layoffs and my world crashed. I went from thinking I found a new purpose, making good money, supporting my family, to feeling like a complete loser again. And not being able to support my family or do the things that I need to do as a man. So, what happened? I got lucky and something else fell in my lap. And it was a media business. I have a lot of real estate friends. My wife's a real estate agent, and we know real estate agents all over the country. One of our friends in South Dakota said, hey, why don't you look into this franchise idea? So I did some research, took out money from savings, and started Next Door Photos Houston. Uh, Clear Lake, it actually started as. Next Door Photos Clear Lake. Started from scratch. I didn't have any idea what I was doing. I did a little bit of photography in high school, but if it's one thing I know how to do, it's work, and that's what I did. I started grinding, and the first month I only had a few orders, people that I knew, right? And I was like, okay, this is going to be easy. Little did I know the real um, test didn't happen yet. And that was for the months to come. What happens when you run out of those easy sales? Well, you got to start grinding. And I was doing everything. I was cold calling, emailing, stop buys, in between doing all the photo shoots, uploading to the editors, um, deliveries. None of the delivery system wasn't automated yet. So the only thing that was automated was accounting and my editing team. And this company seemed like a really great company. They were faith based. Our editors are hired directly within the company umbrella. They are rescued or at risk of sexually slash human trafficking. We had three teams: Nepal, Nairobi, and Philippines. And so I had like a purpose again. My purpose is to provide work for these individuals who would then provide income for me and my family. And it seemed like a really good thing. And I got after it, man, and I was growing. And there was one other location on the northwest side of town. And I started, getting overworked. I didn't, I hit that, uh, what's the parable? Started hitting that, right? Parabola. I hit that parabola. And I noticed my new clients weren't going up because I was too busy. So I started hiring media pros. The business continued to grow and I was doing great. And it was something I was really good at, talking to people, motivating people. I'm not a salesman. I just solve problems. You got a problem, I can see it, I can solve it. And that mindset was working. That military mindset worked the problem. And everything was going good. And then I started getting kind of burnt out. And I found this guy who had a location on the northwest side, and I was climbing towards his territory. And I said, "Hey, why don't we just partner up, man?" He had already flatlined. Me just after 2 years, I had already caught up and was passing where he was for the last 6 years. So let's be partners, and talked him into it. And so we created Next Door Photos Houston. The very next year, we doubled. The next year after that, we went up again. And now I'm getting him amped up. We're growing. We're on our way to a seven-figure company, man. Just within under 10 years, that was the goal. Seven-figure company. Uh, then I got an offer 6 years in, and he wanted to buy me out. He needed some more money, and I said, "Okay, well, you got to be able to reach my number." He did, and I sold it. And now I'm back in oil and gas. Still doing what I do, just talking to people, traveling around. It's what I enjoy doing. Um, the real estate game was, it has its ups and downs, where oil and gas is constant. So I figured, why not? Let's get back into it. But the building the business from nothing to that was super exciting and super gratifying. The sense of purpose and ownership that I got. And I still get phone calls from agents. "Hey, James, what are you doing? I heard you sold. You still doing photos. We really miss you." I still facilitate stuff for free. I have companies calling me. So those relationships that I built over those 6 years were really amazing, and they were everlasting. It seems like we weren't just clients, right? We became friends, a lot of us. We'd support each other in other endeavors. So, and I still dabble. We're putting together a real estate self defense class at Gracie Barra. I don't get anything out of that. I'm not asking for money. It's just the gratification of helping somebody else. And I think that all stemmed from the military, because God knows I didn't have it as a child. The military gave me that purpose to want to help and run towards a problem and work a problem versus being the guy that runs away. You know, the firefighting after that did the same thing. And it's just been an amazing journey.
One of the things to the Army is that you're given a set of resources and assets that we need to put together, pull together, and maintain. So it's more of like a maintenance of existing, don't break what we give you kind of stuff. If you could list them, what skills from your military experience translated the most to your business leadership?
Work ethic, man. Like I feel like that was already in my blood, but holy cow, the military kicked it up a notch, right? Accepting no and quitting is not an option. Like you're just not allowed to quit. You can't. What's going to happen when you quit? You know, fucking cry. "I'm not going on mission," right? Like No, you have to suck it up and get it done. And that mentality has really helped. Embrace the suck, as they say. Who likes fucking sleeping in the dirt? Nobody. But man, some of the bonds that were created in that dirt, right? Who wants to freeze their ass off? You know, Fort Drum is cold. Who wants to freeze their ass off for 2, 3 weeks in the field? That's not fun. But man, the bonds that were created when doing it. And then you get up and you feed off each other, and that excitement and that high impulse energy that carries over into everyday life. And it's just stuck with me. It's like a core value now of mine. Um, the ability to see things on a high level and move things around, being a facilitator of sorts, to see a problem and then being able to work that problem at multiple angles. That has also benefited me. Multitasking, um, giving my best at every single task I do. I don't care if, you're tying your shoe, wiping your ass, or, you know, building a bench for your neighbor. You want to be the best at what you do, no matter what it is, right? And I try to instill that same level in my children too. Maybe a little too hard for them, honestly, sometimes, but those values have definitely carried over. And then the level of consequences from the military. There's consequences for your actions. If you fuck up, there's a consequence. And the military gave me that as well. You don't do your job, there's a consequence. You show up late, there's a consequence. I'm early almost everywhere I go, almost always, right? They say if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, don't even show up. That has stuck with me, right? Even when I was not coping the right way and drinking all the time, and I'd show up early to formation. I'll get smoked for being drunk still, but I would be early. And then again, consequences. And so between the consequences, hard work, and ability to adapt, multitasking, seeing and working a problem from multiple angles, all those things have really led me to be where I'm at today and be successful as I am today, living that white picket fence dream.
Related, what about your lessons learned from handling stress in the military and dealing with people, dealing with difficult people, dealing with people who were maybe not in line with what you'd like out of things, and how your leaders might have coached you to deal with that kind of stuff? Did that help?
Yeah, there's been a strong learning curve with that, honestly. You don't have to be as tactful in the military. And once you get out of the military, if you try to approach people with um, that same direct level, you're not demeaning anybody. You're just telling them exactly what they need to hear to fix themselves. But outside the military, society is soft. I mean, shit, probably in the military now, they're soft. But um, if you talk to, I had 10 employees with my company. I had 10 people working, shooting different shoots when I left. Went from zero, just me, to 10. And I had to be very careful. I had to learn how to pivot and adapt in order to be tactful enough for each and every one of them, because they were all different. And being able to, again, look at the situation, be like, okay, this isn't working. What needs to change? If it's me, I have to realize that. And if it's them, how do I tell them without getting them butthurt and quitting? Because I need them. They're an asset. So how do I get this across, right? The old famous shit sandwich, right? Hey, you're doing a really good job at this. This is what we could have done. I really appreciate your hard work, right? I think that helped out a lot too. Senior leadership, they were older, wiser. They had already been through where the younger guys were, like me, and they realized, hey, these guys, I need to take them under my wing. They've already lived it, so they were able to talk to us in a manner that we understood. So realizing that and adapting that to society outside the military helped out tremendously. I still slip up. I still talk to people and they still get butthurt, but it definitely helped being able to get different points across to different types of people and making sure the work still got done. for sure.
There's a joke from back in the day about the platoon sergeant who was arrested by the IRS because he claimed 34 dependents from his platoon.
Exactly.
It's a little bit of a different conversation. Every entrepreneur is going to face the moments when they want to quit. What kept you going during the toughest business challenges that you've experienced?
That not quitting attitude, right? I mean, you're gonna say, "Hey, I hate it. This sucks, but let's embrace it." Right? And it's gonna you're white knuckling it at that point, but it gets you through the sticky point. It gets you through that quicksand, through the mud hole, and now you're back on the other side after the obstacle course feeling successful, right? Nobody likes getting smoked, right? Especially not for a stupid reason, but it happens. It sucks while it's happening. Maybe you got some jackass that did something and now it's corporal punishment, right? And but embracing it in the time, whatever you got to do to embrace it, whatever that looks like, grinding your teeth, cussing, for me, I tell myself, don't be a bitch. That's what I tell myself. Uh, Anytime I'm struggling, don't be a bitch. Don't be a bitch. And it works. That's what works for me. Um, and that gets me through that hard moment and out on the other side of the tunnel and seeing the sunlight. And then it's gratifying seeing a finished problem that you were able to navigate successfully. I mean, outside of your kids and wife, what's more gratifying than that?
So related, one of the things that I've come across a bunch on the mats is it's very rare that you'll come across somebody who can play the combat sports for money. Most people are playing for pride if they're playing. And for me, I've been asked more than once how I stay calm when everybody's trying to murder me. And it's like, we're playing for pride. Some people here play for money. There's very few people here who have actually played for blood. As a combat veteran, do you think that your tolerance for things that suck, the getting smoked because some knucklehead, because going through that training, because going through those hard activities, that suddenly you have a vastly different perspective on how bad and how rough things can be that lets you work through things? Do you think that's a huge factor for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Related to just combat alone, right? The military in a whole helps you with that, but just combat related. You don't have a comfy bed to sleep in every night or a shower or food, right? You're on rations when you're in those smaller fobs. Hey, you can have 4 chicken nuggets and some cold mac and cheese, like a spoonful, right? Or you can have this MRE that you don't even like. Chili mac was already taken. Okay. Now you're stuck with a fucking vegetable omelet.
Here's your Thai chicken.
Exactly. Um, I was lucky enough I would stock my truck up. I knew a defect chick and she loaded it. We had Otis Meyer muffins for days, fatty cakes in my turret nonstop. But when those run out, it sucks. So, um, yeah, you absolutely have seen the other side of things. You've seen the other side of the world and how they live. There used to be these kids that would run up and when we first got there, you're on edge, right? Like, oh shit, why are they running up on me? And you know, you end up uh pointing pointing weapons at them and stuff, and it's it's different, right?
Mista Mista kids.
Yeah, but then you get to know them, and it's the same group of kids, and you're throwing Jolly Ranchers to them after that, and you look forward to seeing them at that intersection. And
Yeah. And then you realize that they're all the orphans out there panhandling because the people running the orphanage had stolen all their food for the week.
yeah, the world's not pretty at all, and they're shitting in the streets or something. I mean, fucking canal. It smells like shit over there, and canals are full of sewage, and there's trash everywhere. And these kids are eating out of the trash. You've seen the other side of things, so it helps you realize that it's not that bad here, right? So if you relate it to the mats, pride pride is probably one of the worst things for men to have. This prideful nature. It can lead down a dark path, I think. I mean, God says pride is sin, right? That's a big problem for men. Too much pride. And you see it on the mats. A guy that gets angry, a guy that, you know, tries ripping your head off or something. And you're just like, dude, It's not that serious, bro. Um, I personally love jujitsu. It's that camaraderie that I miss. You know, I took the whole year off last year and it sucked, man. I had a rough year last year. And as soon as I come back, what's up, May? What's up, James? You know, and it's like, it's just another family. So I'm with you. I don't take it, I take it serious. I have a pride in trying to do good, right? But I've seen enough to where I know life isn't that serious. And it
It's
helps me stay
it's kind of
calm.
framed.
Yeah.
It's framed.
Yeah.
Things are reframed between the difference.
And that helps in
Um,
personal life too, right? And when you're getting
yeah,
upset, and I do a gut check on myself because I get upset sometimes. And I'm like, James, this isn't that bad, man. Like first world problems, bro. You know, go jump in your pool in the backyard.
yeah, yeah. What about, how did you know it was time to exit your business? That must have been like letting go a piece of you, a piece of your identity, a piece of your, you said it was what, 6 years?
Yeah, yeah,
5 years?
yeah. And 4 or 5 years premature, according to where I was going with the model. It definitely feels like that. And every time I talk to an agent who, oh man, and then I hear it's not doing as well as I had hoped it'd be doing. Uh, it's definitely like a piece of me. I worked really hard at it, and feel very proud of what I was able to accomplish. But I I also asked, hey, what's my next journey? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? And it seemed like it was time, right? This guy evidently, you know, he wants it and needs it a little bit more. Um, so I got a fair offer, figured why not, right? But it's a catch 22 for sure. You feel sad to let something go that you've worked so hard to build, all the relationships and time and effort that you put into it. It's a different type of blood, sweat, and tears, right? It's not the actual blood, sweat, and tears that we're used to, in the military, but it for sure is, sweat and tears. Maybe I cut myself on a paper one time, but and that can be the blood.
Snap one of those little black binder clips on your finger.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But it was definitely a hard decision for sure.
Let's adjust a little bit and slide on to living with purpose and our daily battles kind of stuff. So if we're going to look at the way things have worked out, you've mentioned a few times that you're battling in the day-to-day kind of things. It's not your words, but you're battling day-to-day things while you're trying to maintain a decent life. Can you sort of unpack that process for you on a daily basis?
Yeah, I mean, the struggle never goes away, get choked up when I think about certain things. It just happened, right? Uh, Nobody wants to remember point weapons at kids, man. Um, I feel guilty about a couple things, the way I treated guys who had gotten blown up with me. Maybe just the side of their truck got blown up, but to them, that's a lot. And I feel guilty about the way I treated them and uh, I guess shame them for being scared. Um, when maybe that was just my fear projecting on them. Um, you carry that guilt. It's easy to say God's forgiven you, but forgiving yourself is the hardest thing, for anything. And that's a constant battle, man. Constant battle from childhood all the way to the military. Um, Being able to talk about things, right? Almost dying. That was very difficult uh, in the early years. And now I try to talk about it more and it gets easier. And maybe that, knowing that maybe that can help somebody else is giving me a purpose to share that sort of gospel, I guess. Uh, Share that you're not a product of your environment. Doesn't matter where you come from or what you've done. You can find purpose again. You just got to want it, right? You got to be able to get off your own ass and go get it. Nobody's going to give it to you. And I think that's helped me a lot, having that mentality and being able to share that with others and tell myself it's okay. Every day that it bothers me, it's okay. Don't be so hard on myself, I guess, day to day, because there was years that I was, and I think that played a factor in me overusing, the medicine and alcohol for years, um, beating myself up every day, and now that I'm not doing that or not doing it as much, it still happens. I still find myself in a dark hole sometimes. Um, but I'm intentional. I'm intentional. Make sure I go to the gym. I'm intentional. Make sure I talk to friends, and that helps out a lot. Gets me through those day-to-day struggles. I'm intentional to share things with my wife, how I'm doing. Give my older children the benefit of the doubt that they understand. And I even talk to them sometimes about how I'm feeling. Hey, Dad's sad today. It's not you, it's me. And being able to say that openly has helped me get through those day to day struggles. Makes it not as hard, right? Getting it out in the air.
You've mentioned some routines and some daily pieces that you do. What does a typical day look like for you now, and how do you structure it to support your mental health?
Yeah. So that goes back into professionalism, right? Time blocking. You can call it whatever you want. You got all these companies that try to rename it Pomodoros, but really you're just blocking out time and being intentional with your day and not being lazy, because I can easily find myself on the couch turning into a slug and just going down a mental fucking black hole. But if I'm intentional and I set my alarm for 5:30 and I go to jujitsu at 6:30 and then I come home, take a shower, go to work out, lift weights. I started lifting weights again recently, which has been huge. I took about 2 years off. And I mean, all that releases those positive endorphins and those positive chemicals in your body, right? To battle the negative thoughts. So that helps out tremendously. And then time blocking everything I do. Don't leave, don't leave emptiness. Because if you leave emptiness, you're going to fill it with whatever pops in first. Could be negative. Most of the time, it's negative for me. So I just try to fill my day, surround myself with good people, and go to the gym and stay busy working. And that seems to be a pretty good process for me. If I surround myself with bad people, then I do bad things, right? It's pretty simple. If I'm lazy, I get bad thoughts. If I don't work out, I feel lethargic and negative. So I've been able to finally work this equation into my life, and it seems to work pretty well.
There's one common wisdom and one Grant Cardonism. You become the five people you spend the most time with outside of your family.
Yeah,
And then you've got the Grant Cardone suffered a lot of the same things you did. He didn't take the military road, but part of his hero's journey to however many zeros he's got in his bank account now was basically his entire thing is he time blocks everything. Even if he's time blocking video games, everything from waking to finish of the day is scheduled. He deliberately schedules video games with his brother kind of thing.
yeah,
I understand. I've heard that same trick elsewhere. Let's switch to the opposite side of this equation, this problem, because it sounds like you're still triggered by difficult moments, as am I. So this is an accusation. How do you handle difficult situation differently than you might have years ago?
yeah. I'm not as quick to act. Um, Somebody yells at me, right? I'm not going to go try and fight them. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. And realizing that was a big pivotal change because I didn't even learn that when I got out. It wasn't until my heart changed, right? Till I was available for change, made myself available because I still carried around all that hate, and that hate just there's a Dave Chappelle skit says if you got hate in your heart, let it out, right? And it was a funny skit. Um, doesn't pertain to this, but it's true. If you have hate in your heart, let it out. And once you get rid of all that hate, it's like there's a huge weight that comes off your shoulders. And then you can actually start working all the shit that's underneath that weight, right? That weight was keeping it all in, and it's like you have all these different anchors welded onto you, and trying to drag them through life is tiring. And you just got to be able to let go. And once you can start letting go of one anchor, the next one's even easier, and the next one's even easier, and so on and so on. Um, so being able to grow and not be as reactive to, say, a negative thought or a negative presence, or somebody cuts you off on the highway, right? Retraining yourself to do the opposite of what maybe the hateful you would be doing has been a huge benefit, right? They say it takes like 2 weeks, right? Various amounts, but around 2 weeks to create a new habit. I've read that. So if you're driving and every time, I mean, we're in Houston. I mean, how many times are you going to get cut off in Houston? 5 times just going down the road, right? Or somebody rides
Five,
that merge
five
lane.
times going to the grocery
Dude,
store.
it's a pain in the ass. One of the things that upset me the most is when I decide to get over the merge lane and I see a guy 15 cars back ride all the way to the front of the merge and then cause more traffic, right? Well, old James might have motherfucked this and that, right? Finger, all that, not let him over. But what happens when I let him over and I brush it off? You know, that's difficult sometimes for sure. But if I can retrain my mind in one of the most stressful times like that, then anything's possible, right? And I still kind of, I'm like, what the hell? This dude's causing a problem. But I'm not like MFing him. I'm not giving him the finger. You know, maybe I'll sit there and split the lane so he can't pass me, right? Get the learn your lesson, dude, right? But I'm not getting upset about it anymore. And retraining my brain to do that has really helped me in those moments where I'm struggling, because now I can stop, take a breath, and recenter myself so my family doesn't get the brunt of whatever I'm going through in that moment. Because that's the most important part, right? I really don't care about that guy if he gets the brunt, but it still plays a factor. If I can give that guy grace, I most certainly can give myself grace, and then I can pass that grace down to the people that really matter, which is my family. They don't deserve anything that I might be going through. It's not fair to them, and that's my end goal. Is to I want them to want to be my friend when they get older. I want them to be able to say, I had a great dad." So that's I'm day every day. I work to be better today than yesterday, and process all that shit I might be going through a little bit better today than yesterday.
Are there still days or events, sounds, smells, stimulations that hit and suddenly send a spike, a trigger of like flashback combat stuff? Is that stuff still happen with you?
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty good. I've been pretty lucky. I mean, of course, you smell some shit, you're gonna think, "Oh God, bad guy," right? You see some trash in the road, you're like, "Oh shit, bomb," right? But I'm able to compartmentalize it well enough to where I can process it in my head, and I'm not freaking out outwardly. I can process it, internalize it, and realize, hey, that's not real, right? Uh, Bombs sound like, I mean, we got blown up more than once, more than twice, more than three. You know what I mean? It's uh one of the scariest moments wasn't even a fucking bomb. It was a transformer. It was like 2 feet away from me. It just blew up. You know, their electrical system sucks. I thought I messed my pants, man. I thought I was gone. That one, for some reason, sticks with me the most. Probably because it was the first thing that blew up, you know, and then it just kind of, I guess from that, it just, a satchel was thrown onto a barrier or behind a wall or wires going across the road. Uh, but that first one, yeah, that got me. But yeah, I'm able to compartmentalize it, I think, better than some. And I think honestly that helps from having such a fucked up childhood. You know, I spent the whole first half of my life compartmentalizing all these shitty scenarios I was in. And I think that helped compartmentalize war and then help compartmentalize post-war. But now all that compartmentalizing is causing me issues and I'm trying to process it finally. A little late, midlife, but
Yeah.
I mean, but we're on the right track. Um, so there is, I guess, a benefit from being so good at shoving shit down, to where I can be like, okay, that's not real. I'm here. If a trash can lid slams or something, I'm like, oh, I'm here, right? Piece of trash. Oh, I swerved there. Oh, I'm here. It's not anything.
Yeah. That was, for me, it's manhole covers and trash. Trash that's new to the road, especially. Um,
Yeah, dead dogs, dead animals.
yeah.
I mean, the fuckers put bombs in everything.
Yeah. Um, we played by different rules. Like there were no rules
Yeah, yeah. You were
when I was playing.
a little bit more lucky
Um,
than me, man. We had a little bit of ROE when I was there. You couldn't just blast any.
we had ROE. It's just it was different.
Yeah,
Like,
a lot different.
but let's not go down that road.
Yeah.
um, we'll be yeah, get a little bit off topic. Back to the living with purpose in our daily battles piece. What practices and routines have become non-negotiable for your well-being?
Working out. I've given it up before and fell into that lazy hole, and everything spirals after that. And working out can be several different things, right? My body can't do what it used to be able to do, but just moving around. Jujitsu's helped me a lot. Uh, and I had a buddy who talked me into going to jujitsu. He doesn't even do it anymore. Preston. He was like, "Hey man, let's go start this jujitsu thing." I was like, "Fuck, okay, sounds cool, man." Because I did combatives in the army. I did a couple competitions. I did okay. Um, I was like, "All right, man, let's do it." And I'm still doing it. So that I'm glad I started lifting again because I
Was
gave that up.
was Preston an army buddy?
I didn't know him until the hospital. I met
Oh,
Preston in the
but
hospital.
you're still both in the military?
Yeah, yeah, he was in the army. His wife was in the army. So, Cheyenne, my wife, Preston and his wife, Nicole, all met on a Wounded Warrior trip to California, I think. And we've been friends ever since. His kids call me Tio. My kids call him Uncle Preston and Aunt Nicole. And they moved to Texas. Preston's a plant operator. Uh, we don't hang out as much anymore that we're doing more adult things, but yeah, we're still really good friends.
Would you consider Preston part of your support system that helps stabilize your routine, having somebody that close with your experiences?
We've talked a little bit, right? And especially when we get into like um in the zone, I'll call it, right? But just like most military guys, we don't probably talk as much as we should. We kind of our relationship it goes deep. We've experienced a lot together, but I'm sure we could always open up more with each other for sure.
Some things don't need to be said.
And I think
They're
that's
understood through the shared.
yeah, and that's how we are. So we like to hang out with each other. It's nice to just know the battles that each other are going through. But we don't talk about the deep stuff too often. Uh,
Yeah.
it's the camaraderie, the fellowship that really means a lot. Kind of like those trips I was talking about earlier.
It seems like you've learned a lot from these experiences and you've acquired a lot of wisdom and spent time reflecting on things. If you could sit down with that troubled young man that you were, what would you want 13-year-old James to know?
That's going to be okay. That there is a plan, whether you see it or not, and things are going to be okay. And you're meant for bigger things than what you can possibly imagine right now. And people love you.
What do you think the biggest misconception people have about trauma recovery is in your experience?
I think a lot of people that haven't gone through it think it's a one size fits all, and it's not. And it took me a while to realize everybody's got their own hurt. Everybody has their own level of hurt. No one person's hurt is better than the other. And it's taken me years to realize that. And um, every single person's journey affects them differently. Just because my story is harder than my wife's doesn't mean her story doesn't matter. It most certainly matters. It affected her. And that goes for anybody, right? Um, for military, just because, we're not operators deploying every 6 months doing God knows what for the government, it doesn't mean your hurt doesn't matter. And to be able to say that in the mirror and to my friends and other people I know, it's taken a journey to get to that point, right? For at least me to not feel guilty for feeling the way I feel because maybe I didn't do as much or feel like I didn't do as much as other people, right? The constant comparison. The healing journey shouldn't be compared to another person. Each person's healing journey is different from another and should be tailored and cultivated based on that person, right? We've all run into people who didn't have to work as hard, let's say, for 100% or whatever, or maybe we felt like it wasn't justified um, as other people. But who am I to say? And I think that just goes right into that same meaning. Everybody's hurt is different, and everybody's healing journey is different, and it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give you 100% agree on that because years ago I was stepping onto the mat and it was cold and clammy and crappy out and I put my foot on the mat and my ankle and I started bitching and moaning about my stupid ankle, stupid knees, bah, bah, bah. And then a fellow next to me has got no legs and he's like, "Really?" And I'm like, "I need to be a better person. I'm sorry." So, yeah, I know exactly what you mean about that.
Yeah.
Everybody's healing journey is different.
But that guy is the perfect guy to joke around about it. I know exactly. Yeah.
He's
He's a
he's
great
a
guy.
beast.
He's an animal.
He's a beast.
You give him an inch, he's
And
taking your neck.
he is he is so phenomenally strong and so honed in and locked in on stuff that he missing two legs, he goes to tournaments and demolishes people. It's he's unreal. Looking at your personal journey, going from our troubled youth to the service connected injuries, and then through your healing, and then to your business success and into family life, what would you say connects all of these chapters in regards to your reflected wisdom on life?
I think starting life so rough with the ups and downs and stuff that kids shouldn't have to go through gave me the hardened edge or the wall that I built up around me in order to get through some of the difficult parts of life. But then, like the military and whatnot, but then learning how to lower that wall after the military, built with keeping the hardness just without the wall, right? You don't lose that hardness. You just open the gates. So you still have that work ethic and that can do attitude to get stuff done. But now you're just allowing people in to share it with, I guess. And then succeeding with a business, right? And being able to sell it. I mean, it's all built on each other, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it each stage in life has built on the previous one in a way that it's almost impossible to deny that it was designed that way. There's no way that every step I've taken in life, it's way too random to be random. Meeting my wife, who's never been to New York, in Fort Drum, New York. Now we have 3 kids in tech. Like, dude, that's way too random to be random, right? Moving to Alabama to, with some friends. I've never been to Alabama. What the hell? But that stage of life was needed to get to the army, right? That had to happen. Unfortunately, the death of my father was planned. I mean, it was just random, right? I mean, way too random to be random. Everything not getting in the Coast Guard. If I would have made it into the Coast Guard, none of this would have ever happened. I wouldn't have my kids. I wouldn't have my wife. I wouldn't have this life. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you, right? So every single stage has happened for a reason and built upon the previous reason. And it's just finally culminated, maybe a little bit later in life for me than others, but I'm finally feel like I'm sitting on top of that hill, man, and it's amazing.
What do you wish more normal people, more civilians, understood about veterans transitioning back into civilian life?
That we're not assholes.
Hey, speak for yourself.
Yeah, well, we being an asshole in the military is not a bad thing, right? So it's most of the time we're people that can get stuff done. We're the person that if you want something done, you call. We're the person that's going to give our shirt off our back. We're the person that will run towards a problem instead of run away. We're the people with the can do attitude who know what needs to get done and know how to implement in order to get that stuff done. But we might not be the most tactful. We might not be the most soft edged. And, to give us a little bit of grace, it goes a long way. We come from the most diverse, everything's about diversity nowadays. We come from one of the most diverse jobs in the world. What's more diverse than the army, man? We attract people from all over the country and all over the world. I had a guy in my unit from South Korea, the Rock Army, like, working to get his green card. I had a guy from Nigeria who worked and sent money back to his family, bringing them over. Like, we are, there's so many of us that are the epitome of what I think society should be because we put on a uniform and we don't matter anymore. You know what matters? Everyone else, the guy to your right, the guy to your left, everything else matters except our own individualism. And if the rest of the world acted like that and put themselves second, maybe third versus first all the time, maybe this world would be a better place.
Making the world a better place is sort of an aspirational statement. And that kind of ties into your legacy and looking forward. As we're examining James' legacy, your story has the power to help others facing similar struggles. What message do you want to most share with people facing similar struggles?
Don't give up, and you can do whatever you put your mind to. It doesn't matter what you've been through, who's hurt you, what you've done, what others have done to you. Doesn't matter what physical ailments you might have. There's some, I mean, if you're a vegetable, you're not, but still, like, if you want something, you got to go get it. Nobody's going to give it to you. And you're not a product of whatever's happened to you. That doesn't define you at all. The definition of you is up to you. It doesn't matter. It's if you want if you want something different for yourself, you reach out and go get it. Surround yourself with good people, and anything's possible.
Related, what are you most proud of? And I don't mean just accomplishment wise, but as far as who you have become.
My family, I feel like I'm finally a good husband and good father. I feel like I am actually leaning into friends instead of just having them talk to me and me, I feel like I've had friends that have leaned into me and then me just not care enough or lean back. Um, I'm proud that I can openly talk about my own problems and show my children that being vulnerable is okay and the proper way to react when things don't go your way, because it's going to happen. Life is going to hit you in the face, probably more than once, you know, but being able to take that, learn from it, get up and do it again. That's the real difference. That's a differentiator in somebody who's going to succeed and somebody who's not. When you get knocked down, you got to get in it. I'm proud that I've gotten back up, despite all the knockdowns I've given myself or the world has given me. And I'm proud that I can show my kids what a real dad is supposed to be like. Not a perfect dad. I'm a real dad. I mess up. I learn from my mistakes and I try not to make them again. Sometimes I do, but that's a real person. Real people aren't perfect. I'm proud that uh, I've been able to create the life for them that I always wanted. And hopefully, I mean, right? They'll tell you probably no, right? Maybe they don't get their iPad one night and I'm the worst dad ever. But um, I'm really proud of being able to provide the way I have and teach and try and instill these values in my children to make them uh, good little humans, you know?
Speaking of your children, when your children are older and ask about your journey, what will you want them to understand the most?
But I didn't give up. I could have easily given up. I could have easily, you know, got a divorce or something, because we got into a fight or, people give up way too easy nowadays. Oh, I had an argument with my wife or my spouse. I want a divorce, right? Oh, my kids are being too difficult. I want to leave. Now I'm an absent father. Oh, I can't think clearly or remember things as much. So I'm just going to give up totally, or I'm going to keep eating these pills. Keep drinking this bottle. Uh, Nobody loves me, right? All these negative thoughts. You got to push that stuff back, and that's what I would want them to see. Like, hey, I had some downs, man. My life wasn't perfect. I want to be able to openly share that with them as they get older. Right now it's probably not the time. My oldest is just turning 12. Um, but yeah, I like this. Your dad wasn't perfect. Your dad was a degenerate, you know, who joined the army and still was not perfect, and then got hurt and still wasn't perfect, but got up and still wasn't perfect, but got up again. And by the end of it, you work yourself up to a pretty decent human. You go from degenerate to decent human. I mean, what else could you want in life?
We've mentioned the younger years, we mentioned the military years, we've covered the multiple points of education that you've accrued. We mentioned your business and selling the business and an exit. Now you're working back in one of your degrees. I don't mean specific job planning, but what's next for James? What chapter are you writing for your life now?
Yeah, I'm hoping this latest job that I've taken on with this company, I started searching for less of a paycheck, not chasing the money as much as chasing a good company culture, something that I can vibe with a little bit better, knowing my personality, what I'm good at, talking and facilitating, working problems. So sales, basically. I'm hoping that this is the last change for me. But if it's not, being able to bounce back again, who knows? But I really want to stay with this company, grow its division. We have a good, solid core of people, and really create something to be proud of when it's time to walk away. I have that opportunity again here at this current company to be a part of something bigger than myself, which is a team. And our goal is to grow our division, right? So that's the purpose, to wake up and do your job and do good job every day. Um, and then to create a lifestyle that really my kids and wife benefit from. My wife loves traveling, which can get pretty expensive for a family of five. So I want to be able to give her those things and give my kids those things. I never went on vacations growing up. So my kids go on so many vacations, they take them for granted, and that sometimes upsets me, but it's one hell of a thing to be able to say that you did for them. Uh, and when I'm ready to walk away from work, knowing that I did my best, man, and that I was a part of something bigger than me, even though it's a job that might sound silly to people, but to me, it's not just a job. It's a reason. It's a reason to wake up. It's a reason to do better, right? And I keep going back to that because that's all I to do better today than you did yesterday. Hey, I'm going to go get one more and grow the company a little bit more. Well, that in turn grows my paycheck a little bit more. So it's that's the goal. That's what's next. Keep going, keep driving, don't stop, pedal to the metal, and keep improving on all levels. Better husband, better father, better friend. That's my goal every day.
If you could make one closing remark, if someone listening is in their own dark place, whether it's trauma, addiction, failure, or just feeling lost, what would you say to that person?
This moment doesn't define you. This isn't it. There's always That's that simple. This moment doesn't define you. There's more. There's a light. You're strong. Get up. Let's go. Yeah. Get up and let's go. Yeah. I think too often we're defined. We put on ourselves a specific moment in life or a specific choice, and we let it define us, whether it's a year or a day or a month. But those moments don't define us. That it doesn't define you. You're strong. Let's get up. Let's go.
If you'd like, we can end there, or you want to get anything else you'd like to add?
I think I would just keep it short and sweet. If I walked in on somebody and you know there was a guy at church, he came in and I was on serving the security team. And this guy, he was having some issues, man, and he was just hurting inside. I think he had gone through a lot in the last month. He was broken down. He was a broken man. Simple, strong words, man. Listen. I listened to him and I said, God sees you, you know. This isn't it. This isn't everything. It might feel like it is, but it's not. There's a whole another chapter of life that he's planned for you. You just got to be ready to get up and go take it. Be ready to get back on that road that he's laid out. Even when you make a left and you should have went right, you'll get another chance, and you'll get another chance, and you'll get another chance. He doesn't leave us. Yeah, God's with us even when we don't want him to be. So, and now that guy attends church, and he's got his family, and I don't know how he's doing, but I don't even know if he even cared what I said. But yeah, that's the moment that popped in my head when you asked me that question.
I have pushed things about as far as we should go for now. What do you think that's a good place to wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, you got me emotional a couple times. I tried to hide it more than once, and yeah, and I mean, probably still only scratched the surface on some of it, but I think it was a good overview of everything, a culmination of beginning to end or beginning to current present, because it's not the end. Um, yeah, I think it went from negative to positive, and kind of like Biggie says, right?
About the hero's journey.
Yeah, that's right. And it's all good, baby, baby.
We're old.
Ain't nothing wrong with the '90s, man.
Oh boy. All right, man.
Appreciate you, Doug.